Good morning, friends. This is your old girl, Melanie Rose, here to share your daily aspects. Welcome to Imbolc, friends. This is the second day of our celebration. I'm celebrating for 3 days this year because Lunar Imbolc was yesterday and Solar Imbolc is tomorrow. So to me, that gives me a nice little space of time to prepare my celebrations and have a nice little ceremony with my wife, hopefully out of doors with a fire and, just some appreciation for the coming of the sun. So that's what Imbolc is. It is the halfway point between winter solstice and spring equinox, and that this is the very beginning of when we start to see the days grow a little bit longer. They're still shorter than the nights, but the sun rises earlier every day and sets later, a little bit later every day. So things start to warm up. Now, I mean, notoriously, because I'm from the Midwest, this can actually indicate some of the worst of the snow and ice events, but they tend to come in and cover us for a day or two, and then they melt away. So hooray for the sun, and welcome back. The sun is in Aquarius today, and so is the moon. So that's great. So we've got a really balanced self at this point, because I don't know if you recall, but yesterday the sun went conjunct with the moon, and that's what indicates the new moon. So today is the day after the new moon. You might see a sliver of a crescent if you see the moon at all today, and this indicates that the moon has begun to wax again. We're now on the journey from new moon to full moon. In a week, we will have a first quarter moon, which is the halfway point in Taurus, but we'll talk about that later. So sun in Aquarius, moon in Aquarius really just brings in this sense of balance. And again, I'm going to emphasize that Saturn is all over the page. Saturn rules Aquarius, so it currently rules the sun and the moon. Sun and the moon. Mercury is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. Mars is in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. Venus is also in Capricorn, although she's not on the page today. She's always influencing us. So that enters into all of the aspects that we face, almost all of the aspects we've been facing for several days. So remember, just Saturn themes of structural integrity, both inside and out, right? So that we can feel the firmness and the strength of our foundations. And where we don't feel the firmness and the strength of our foundations, that's our opportunity to go in and do what has to be done to strengthen that foundation. Aquarius, though, isn't just about strengthening foundations. It is about having strong foundations, but it's also about sort of looking at our foundations and asking ourselves, like, what can be changed here? What can be refined? What can be shifted so that things work in a more ideal way? So that's the Aquarius energy, and it's very much our outer lives right now, and our inner lives is taking that sort of bird's eye view on the foundations. So in your inner life, you have certain foundations that are like your ideals and principles and the things you learned as you were growing up, and we always have to keep an eye on those things and make changes when they become outdated, or they reveal themselves not to really be part of the framework that holds us up. We've got to be willing to do that work. And also, on the outside, in our relationships with the outer world, work, social, and civic, we've got to keep an eye on those foundations too, those networks of people and structures and businesses, etc., that we rely on for support. We have to do what we can to maintain the strength of those foundations, but also we have to do what we can to, bring them into alignment with who we are as our highest selves, because in Aquarius, we just want everybody to be lifted up to their highest ideal functioning selves. Okay, let's take a look at all of the planets that are on the page today, and then we'll get into some interpretation. The sun does represent the outer life, and that is who you are in your work, social, and civic spheres. It's who you are when you step out the door, and the person that people first get to know that when you meet them, like the stuff that you willingly and readily show the rest of the world. And then comes the moon. The moon is more about your inner life, the things that are hidden. Those are your thoughts, feelings, intuitions, what you know, and also who you are when you're at home in your inner life, when you're around the people that you're most comfortable with. Mercury is on the page today. Mercury is your personal planet representing the intellect. So the thoughts, plans, communications that you make, and the running around that you do. Mars is on the page down here, and just representing for Tuesday, Mars is your personal planet for initiative. So whatever it is, that fire in your gut that's getting you going every day. Jupiter, where is Jupiter? Jupiter's down here in the future. Jupiter represents growth, expansion, positive vibrations, good fortune, and Saturn is literally everywhere on the page. Saturn represents, again, our foundations, the strength of our foundations, and our responsibility to maintain the strength of our foundations. Chiron is not a planet, it's an asteroid, and it represents your personal capacity to heal, as well as what it is that you're working on healing in this lifetime. And if you wonder what you're working on healing in this lifetime, it's very interesting to go check out where your natal Chiron is. So look at your personal natal chart and find out where Chiron is, or you can go online and just find a Chiron placement calculator, because not all those charts will give you Chiron. And find out about the 3 or 4 year span in which you were born for Chiron, because that's really interesting to have an idea about what you're healing in the world. Okay. I've divided the page into 2 sections, one for each of our luminaries. The moon, again, reflects light onto our inner lives. And so, the energies that it brings with it through these transits and aspects, they have more to do with those things we think, know, intuit, and feel. And they tend to be really brief, so we keep them all on one side of the page. And then I address the sun and the rest of the planet's aspects on the other side of the page, because it does have more to do with who we are in our outer life, and it takes longer than those lunar aspects. And we start with the moon side of the page today, Central Standard Time, friends. So we only have the one aspect, the one current aspect today. We have an ongoing aspect over here that we're going to talk about. But it's really, I think, a good thing, probably a helpful thing, that we just have this one lunar aspect happening today, because it can be a kind of intense one. So this is a void of course moon, first of all. So from 5 o'clock this morning until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, there's a whole 24 hours void of course. So right now we're talking about inner work and, the emotional and intuitive labor that we're doing. So this is really an ideal time, like this whole day, to be diving into those intuitive practices, journaling, just sitting with yourself, meditating, thinking about yourself and your approach to life. Not that it's terrible and everything needs to change, or that you need to, resolve to change everything right now. But we are looking, again, Saturn, at our foundational structures, what holds us up and makes us feel supported. And, some of that requires some introspection and some personal work. When the moon is conjunct with Saturn, when the moon is in aspect with Saturn, we tend to feel some way. We really notice on the inside, in our thoughts, feelings, intuitions, the structures that support us. It's something that our inner eye is drawn to. Okay, and the conjunct energy just tends to amplify this whole tendency, or let's say phenomenon. So I want you to become aware of all of the processing you're doing, whether you understand it or not, whether you're doing it consciously or not. There is a lot of energy right now that is asking us to really do introspection. We are working on how we feel about things. We are working on, our approaches to our lives, to our relationships, to our work, to the labor that we put into things. And we're also working to shake off some old crap and some bad habits, okay? Because transformation is on the page, friends. So just become aware, that you've been pushing stuff out and now you've come to this clean slate moment, and you're taking this eagle eye over your whole life and trying to see what your foundations have brought you, and what you can do to strengthen where you need to strengthen and refine what you need to refine. This takes a lot of inner work, and whether you realize you're doing it or not, you're doing it. So you might feel a little bit exhausted. You might feel like almost any stimulation that asks you to look outside yourself is too much. It's taking away too much. But if you don't understand why you're feeling exhausted, this is probably part of it. Just good time to really acknowledge that you're doing inner work, and it's okay to take a break on the work that you have to do in the outer life. A little bit of a break on the work you have to do in the outer life. Okay, well, we're just working on ourselves right now. We're deep in this emotional intuitive labor, and we're working from within and without to bring about a better way of being. Okay, so that's the Aquarius vibe. It's Sun and Moon in Aquarius. And Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. Saturn does want structural integrity, but not at all costs. Saturn wants structural integrity. Aquarius wants us to find structural integrity that isn't just strength, but it is actually, let's say, good for us, harmless, helpful, and overall, bringing progress into our lives as well. Don't allow this personal work, this inner work that you're doing, to bring coldness and distance to your partnerships if you can help it. We are all doing this work, so we are all a little bit withdrawn, when we are all a little bit focused on, like, how am I going to get what I need to feel supported? And that's great. That's very good. But, we've just been through this Venus retrograde, so our hearts should be a little bit warmer at this time. And, we know who we're committed to. We know, what loving relationships we're committed to. We know what work relationships we're committed to. And, although you're doing this inner work, we've got to remain engaged, okay, with those people that are relying on us the way we rely on them. Okay, so on the sun side of the page in the ongoing column, and I'm going to say that this is going to be with us in one way or the other through the 12th. Again, this is about the conversations we're having about the choices we've made and the changes we're going through, okay? It is time. I was reflecting on this morning, and this is the message that came across to me. It is time to release whatever thought it is that gets in the way of your ability to connect. All right. Any thought that's keeping you in separation from other people, any idea, any firmly held belief, any disposition, attitude, principle that you have that is getting in the way of your ability to connect with others, especially in terms of the work that you are doing in the world. Okay. It needs to be released. And it's like, okay, I'm going to use a knot metaphor because I am a massage therapist. You get those really tight knots in your shoulders from working at the computer all day, or whatever it is that you do with your arms all day. These knots, these are like muscular knots, but they're in our psyche and they're under pressure, okay, and ready to let go. So it's almost like in your mind, in your heart, you already have your thumb on that knot. You're already pressing into it. And gosh, that feels good, okay? But it's not going to continue to feel better unless you let go. And what happens is you have to like really focus in on the area where the knot is in your muscle or in your psyche, and you have to consciously work to release it. And I say work to release, it's like trying to do nothing, right? It's trying to do less with it. So there's something that you're doing to just sort of grip in that spot, and whatever it takes to let go, you're going to have to let go, okay? And this may require us to claim or reclaim the more monstrous parts of ourselves, okay? Part of letting go of old hurts and past traumas is acknowledging our role in them. When bad shit goes down, it usually takes two to tango, okay? So you can't throw up your hands and just say, oh, I was innocent of everything and this happened to me. Sometimes that happens. But in a lot of cases, in a lot of our relationships and the things that, and like the bad work situations we've been through, like there's been an element of it where we didn't bring our best as well. So this is a time to sit with that and see yourself for the things that you didn't do correctly, to sort of have that conversation with yourself so that you can become accepting of that part of yourself. And that is part of the transformation that we're going through, okay? Conversations with ourselves, bringing about transformation in a really amplified way. So again, I really hope that you all will take advantage of this, like really a 24-hour void of course moon, the fact that the sun and the moon are in Aquarius together, the fact that this is a holiday that brings in the sunlight, that purifies, those things that have become dank and dark and soggy and frozen over, just bring the sunlight in, dry it all up a little bit, and expose it to the fresh air so that we can make something new from that. And with all of that said, coming up this week on Thursday, Mercury is going direct. It will still be in conjunct with Pluto. Okay, so that's part of why we're still in this Mercury conjunct Pluto phase, is that there are bookended sort of Mercury conjunct Plutos there. So Mercury is going to go direct. We're going to see an easing up in our challenges with equipment and gear, and also with just our communications, our ability to make plans and to relate to other people. So that's going to feel like a big relief. Already Venus went direct this past week, and now Mercury is going to go direct. So it's going to be full steam ahead for all this Saturn energy, especially the Capricorn Saturn energy. And then on Friday, Saturn reaches its aphelion, Mars makes a sextile with Jupiter, and the sun goes conjunct with Saturn. So that's going to be a pretty big day, energetically speaking. And then on Sunday, Mars is going to make a square with Chiron. So we'll discuss those things as they come up. And coming up after all of that, next Tuesday, we'll have a first quarter moon in Taurus, which will be our opportunity to quit setting intentions and making plans, because right now we're in the planning phase, and to start to enact those plans, make the phone calls and do the footwork to get the stuff done, right? Okay. So that's it for the aspects today. I appreciate you hanging in there with me through this. And, if you're still here, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and like my video, subscribe to my channel, share this with somebody if you think that it will resonate with them, especially anybody who's really going through the, who you can see is really going through the work surrounding, their sense of their foundational integrity and their sense of duty. And, some of us don't fare as well as others when we have all this emotional labor to do. And so, we can all use a little bit of help. And if you think this will help somebody, please share it with them. At this point in the video, I am now becoming accustomed to throwing a tarot card. First, I'm going to talk to you about the one that's sitting on the side. This is the Six of Swords, and it represents the second 10 days of the sun's transit through Aquarius. And the Six of Swords, swords are about communication, planning, you know, the way that we relate to people, especially as far as our thoughts and our verbiage goes. And, you know, the 6 follows the 5, which was a conflict. And so the 6 sort of indicates moving away from conflict, which I think is a great idea, especially at a time like this when we are doing a lot of intense inner work, when, you know, the intuitions are all the way on, and the emotions can be all, sort of inward on all the way on. We're really laboring for ourselves and others right now. So, you know, we don't have to labor for everybody. We don't have to do that intellectual work, that emotional work, that intuitive work for other people, especially not those people that want to bring conflict to us. It's okay, and in fact, it's better just to walk away, to turn your back and get on a boat and float away from that BS. Okay. We don't need any conflict well, we do need conflict. We need mountains to climb and problems to solve, and Capricorn really believes that. But you know, what we don't need is extra conflict that doesn't have any bearing on the work we're doing in relationship to our structural integrity. All right. And with all of that said, and noting again that the sun and the moon are both in Aquarius, and that it's the Imbolc holiday, and here comes the sun. Mercury retrograde conjunct with Pluto. I mean, it's kind of kicking my butt a little bit. I'm doing a little bit of reclaiming of the monstrous parts of myself. And I'm also very aware of all the processing I'm doing, because it's like it's taking me all day right now, and I feel like I can't even take time to do my chores, darling. I'm taking care of my chores, but that's just because work is the order of the day. Okay, here's a card. The Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune is usually a really good indicator. You know, it says that things really may be going your way, and perhaps you're either on top or you're headed that way. It is also a reminder that sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down. So, you know, we can't have constant unchecked happiness and joy all of the time. You know, those things come in waves. And, you know, we also can't always be having low points, you know. So if you're up, remember that you might eventually be down again. And if you're down, understand that that just means you're going to come up again. And with that, I shall leave you for today. My name is Melanie Rose. Thank you all so much for being here with me. Drop a comment in the comments section if you want. I would love to hear what you think about what you're seeing here, what's coming up for you, how this Saturn stuff is affecting you. And I will see you all back here tomorrow for more daily aspects.